Are you a good speaker? I mean, really, in social situations, are you saying the things you should be saying, or are you getting yourself caught in these 7 bad habits? If you want to know, make sure you stick around. And welcome to the Lifelong Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Molly from 3 Pines Leadership, and I'm so excited you're taking this part of your day to spend here with us at the podcast. Well, make sure you get in touch with us because we want to hear all of your different ideas for show topics. We want to know what's working in your life, what's challenging in your life, what obstacles are in front of you so that we can together come up with an awesome game plan. So check me out on Twitter at Coach Molly with an E, on Instagram at 3 Pines Leadership, and also remember you can get all of this lovely lifelong podcast goodness on all of your favorite podcast platforms, but also in video format on the 3 Pines Leadership YouTube page. All right, let's get into it. Today I promised you 7 bad habits when it comes to communicating and speaking. There's only 7 of them we're going to get into today, but we could really make a giant list of these. So if you find that any of these habits are part of your routine or where you tend to go to when you get into that automatic speaking space, what I want you to do is I want you to acknowledge it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're a horrible person, but I want you to acknowledge that you're doing these things. And then figure out what the effects of them are. Are those effects leading towards your ultimate goal, or are they possibly skewing the way that people are looking at you and drawing that image of you based on how you interact with them? Okay? So first thing I want you to stop doing is gossiping. If you find that when you're conversing with others, that's the safe space for you to get into is talking about others, that makes you a little person. That makes you the smaller person in the room. They say that small people talk about other people, whereas bigger people talk about ideas. Gossiping is a two-way street. And the thing is, if you start to be known as someone who's going to gossip, people are going to start gossiping about you. So just cut it out. Flag it, cut it out. The next thing I want you to stop doing, the second thing I want you to stop doing is judging people. If in your conversation, when you talk about other people, you do so in a very judgmental way, the person you're speaking with is actually going to start feeling like you're going to be judging them. And what can happen is they can start to build up those walls and start to want to avoid conversations with you because they're going to be afraid of being judged by you. If you want to be seen that way, awesome. But if you'd rather people be able to let their guard down and be themselves authentically around you, then maybe cutting judgment out of your habit is a great idea. The third tip I want you to keep in mind when it comes to being a better speaker, just comfortably in conversations, is to be more optimistic. The one thing I want you to stop doing is being so negative. Why? Because people are more drawn to those who are optimistic. They want to have conversations with people who lift them up. And this is a brain thing. Literally, when you're having a conversation about something that is good, you're going to start to release certain chemicals in your brain, and your brain's going to crave those. You're not going to get that same reaction in your brain when you're talking to people who are negative. You're going to have a different kind of reaction that's going to make your body feel worse. It's going to put you in a different mindset where you don't want to be. So be more optimistic. Draw people to you with your positivity and with your optimism. The fourth thing I want you to cut out of your speaking habit is to stop complaining. I want you to stop complaining. Just stop complaining. Why? Because it's viral. It connects with people in a way that we really don't want. If you start being seen as that person who's just complaining about everything, from the weather to work to home life to just everything is such a burden with you, no one's going to want to be around you. It's connected to that, what I said earlier about optimism. When you trigger certain reactions in people's brain, they're going to want to be around you. And when you do the opposite, when you will start to repel people, when you start to put them into that negative space. So once you start being known as someone who's going to continuously be complaining, it can start making other people complain around you. Wouldn't life be way better if we were more solution focused instead? Wouldn't that mean we'd be able to overcome huge obstacles and think through massive, wild, wicked problems and come to better solutions? I think so. Number 5 is to stop making excuses. I need you to start taking responsibility. Stop finding excuses and reasons why other people or other things or other situations have put you to where you are. Start taking responsibility for that, and you'll be able to take the reins of your own life. You'll be able to pick where you want to go, and you'll actually be able to get there. Rather than going, oh, I can't because of X, Y, and Z. No, let's look at reasons that we can get there. Let's be solution focused. So take responsibility and stop making excuses. Number 6 is a tricky one. I want you to pay attention to how much you're exaggerating, how much flair you're adding. And I'm saying a little bit of exaggeration is fine. It's dramatic flair. It's adding color to the conversation. But make sure it appears only in places that are mundane. Only in places that aren't actually factually important, per se. If you're in sales, for example, there's a lot of color that you put into presentations, for example. But what I want you to do is you have to understand the value that's being presented, the heart-centered value that's being presented when you're telling a story. So if you're talking about what day of the week it is, that's probably irrelevant. But if you're talking about someone's character, if you're talking about an event that happened, you want to be factually accurate about that stuff. So be careful, pay attention to the amount of dramatic flair that you're adding, and whether or not you're bordering on falsehoods. And number 7, I think, is the most important right now in this day and age, and that is to stop being dogmatic. That is to stop conflating facts and opinions. And this can be difficult. But it's a really fantastic space to get into, to have the ability to step back from a conversation and see, what are the facts? What are the opinions? What are the implications? And once you can have conversations on that level, it's absolutely amazing. They say, going back to number 1, they say that small people talk about other people and bigger people talk about ideas. And that ties directly in to this last point as well. I want you to stand up tall, but I want you to also recognize that there's a humility when we have conversations about opinions and facts. They're two different things, opinions and facts. And it's wonderful to be able to shower your conversations with both of them, but recognizing the difference and playing with those nuances and asking people to go deeper and to understand more about how they arrived at those opinions based on their facts, etc., etc. So I hope this helps with your conversations around the dinner table or with strangers. I'm Coach Molly from 3 Pines Leadership, and thank you again for joining me here at the Lifelong Podcast. Make sure that you subscribe, because there's going to be stuff coming out on a regular basis, and I want to make sure that you hear it all. So find us on your favorite podcast platforms. Check out all of the other 3 Pines podcasts, including the Business Building Book Club and the Breakthrough You Challenge. All right, everyone. Again, I'm Coach Molly from 3 Pines Leadership. This has been the Lifelong Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me this week, and I will see you again next episode. Until then, remember, I love you, and be excellent to each other.